Shalom and welcome to the Rise for Yah Ministry channel. In today's video, I will be revealing more information pertaining to a dream I had in 2009. I did a series called Visions Unfolding a few years ago, which is the interpretation of this same dream I'm speaking of. But before I get into it, I would like to ask all viewers to share, like, subscribe, and comment. With your help I can reach a broader audience. Another way you could help support this ministry is by clicking any of the cash links below to give a small contribution. Thanks for your support and may God reward your kindness. Now for my presentation. As we proceed, I want you to see the original video. Once it's done, I'll be back and we'll get into the new information that was revealed to me recently.
In 2009, and in the month of February, I had a dream that I seen Obama standing behind this podium in the middle of the street, and a lot of people were surrounding him while he was giving this great speech. I can't remember exactly everything that he said or anything like that. I don't think I really even heard what he said, but I do remember he was giving a great speech because he was saying great words. In the midst of him giving his speech and stuff like that, I noticed that my family and everybody was out there listening to him and stuff. And I was like, you know what, man, we need to go. And in the middle of me saying that, I noticed that nobody was really paying attention to me. So I figured that, you know, I had to wait for a better time, right? But at the end of his speech, you know, everybody, of course, dispersed, went on about their business, went home or wherever they went. But I'm still sitting out there and I'm still telling my family, come on, we have to go. I noticed something that they didn't notice, though. Everybody went inside the house. I'm the only one still outside. I looked behind me and I noticed that Obama was going inside everybody's house. It wasn't until he got up to the third house I noticed the soldiers were going in right after he left, each one. So I really started panicking. And I snuck in through the backyard. But actually, when I was going through the backyard to go inside the house to go tell my family what was going on, I noticed that there was a Russian couple just laying in the backyard, and they were just like laying kind of like they were waiting for something. And I didn't really understand that, and I really didn't pay no mind at the time. But I went inside through the back door, and I was telling my uncle, my dad, my sisters, and everybody that we had to go. In the middle of me telling that, there was a knock at the door, and my uncle went and he answered the door. And Lord behold, it's Obama. And he comes inside the house, right? And I try to hide behind a corner, and I was hoping he didn't see me. But he did. Or actually, he didn't see me, but one of the security personnel that he was with seen me. And I figured since I was already seen, I might as well go into the living room with everybody else. And I'm still trying to convince everybody that we need to go. In the middle of me saying that, I don't know how he heard me. I don't know if he even did hear me, but he did look at me and he did say, everything's going to be okay, just watch. But I couldn't trust that. It wasn't in my spirit to trust that. However, despite the fact that he said that, I'm still telling everybody, let's go. And then out of nowhere, my cousin Damien appeared. And he said to me, where are we gonna go? There's no place we could run. And I sat there and I thought about what he said for a minute, and I said, you know what? You're right. And as soon as I said that, I felt myself be lifted up. And I flew over this bridge into a place, I don't know where it was. I don't know if it was even in this country or what. Well, it had been in this country because it just seemed like America. But what I seen though was a place that was in ruin. Okay? I mean, the buildings, like something had happened. But the first thing that I did notice was this dog. And the thing about this dog that stood out was that his flesh was hanging off of him, but the dog was still alive, but the flesh was hanging off of him. And I just remember asking, what happened here? And then that's when I heard this voice come from nowhere and says, this is what happened when man let loose their nuclear arms. And then I got to exploring a little bit more, the area a little bit more. And I came across the soldier. And the soldier didn't even expect to see me, and we kind of scared each other. Like when we seen each other, he was surprised to see me just as I was surprised to see him. He jumped, I jumped, and he got ready to shoot me. But as soon as he got ready to shoot me though, two people came out of nowhere quick and killed the soldier. Just like super fast. Like if you would have blinked, you would have missed it. And after that happened, I was lifted up again, and the bridge that I flew over the first time, I actually ended up going underneath that bridge. And underneath the bridge was like a whole bunch of veterans and civilians protesting. And one of the veterans came up to me. It was a black dude. He came up to me and he said, the elephant took away our rights to bear arms. Now, I don't know why he used the word elephant, but that's exactly what he said. He said the elephant took away my rights to bear arms. I don't know what that means or anything like that, but it was kind of crazy. But just to give the man comfort and stuff like that, at first I thought he was talking about the Bible, but it turns out that meant something else, and I'll let you know in a little bit. But to give him comfort and everything like that, I said, you know what, it's all right. And then that's when I woke up. So everybody can interpret those things, please interpret it for me. Know what your thoughts are, and make sure you pray about it. I don't want to just hear any of your comments if you was led by the Spirit to give it to you.
As you heard, I had the dream in 2009 and went public with it in 2011. As you all know, 2020 the world was hit with the COVID pandemic, which was also the same year I began to get the interpretation of my dream. And we can all agree that the COVID pandemic was a major event that affected the world in ways we never seen before. We are still dealing with the effects of it currently. Since the pandemic, everything's been getting worse, and there's no sign that it'll get better anytime soon. This is why it's important for us to turn to God and put our trust in the Messiah, because the time of his return is close. With that said, let's continue. First thing I want to highlight is the year I had the dream, which was in 2009. So mark 2009 in your mind and then fast forward to 2020. And we'll find 11 years of time passed when we start from the point I originally had the dream and ending at 2020. Next we'll do the same process, but only this time we'll start at the time I posted the video, and ending at the year 2020. And we'll see that this time 9 years had passed. Now the last thing I want to highlight is the years I had and posted my dream. And what we notice here is that we get 2009 and 2011. Do you see it yet? If you haven't noticed, The numbers 9 and 11 keep coming up, and it seems to be deeply connected to my dream. In the video you heard me say this. The elephant took away my rights to bear arms. It was the last thing that was said to me before I woke up. And at that time I didn't know what to make of it because I thought it was a strange thing to say. But little did I know, I would find myself learning years later that the elephant was the symbol of the Republican Party. Sounds interesting, right? Because after Obama finished his last term as president, we had Trump, who represents the Republican Party, win the election in 2016. If that's not enough evidence to help you to see that he's connected to this, then let's look at the fact that he holds the title as the 45th president. I know that some may be asking, how does this connect Trump to 9 and 11? Well, it's simple. 4 plus 5 equals 9. His title as the 45th president is the factor that connects him to 9. And recently he just became the 47th president. And by adding 4 plus 7 we get 11. With this factor we can also connect him to the number 11. And last but not least, Trump's also the president of the Republican Party. And their symbol is the elephant. Again, the last thing said to me in my dream was a reference to this symbol. Imagine how finding this out was mind-blowing for me. Especially since Obama had just become the president at that time. There's no way I could have known that it would be a Republican coming in after his term was up. As you all know, that Trump became the 45th president after Obama left office. And when Joe Biden took office, people called his time as president Obama's third term. And in the dream, I seen Obama standing behind a podium in the middle of the street giving a great speech. After he was done, the crowd dispersed and I was left, standing alone in the middle of the street looking down it. That's when I noticed that Obama was entering into people's homes. As he entered into the third house, that's when the soldiers came and entered into the first house. I saw him enter. When I saw this, I became alarmed, so I went to alert my family. While I was in the midst of telling my family it's time to go, there was a knock at the door, and when it was opened, I seen Obama with the soldiers. And they all wore bandanas over their faces. And because I didn't think nothing of it at the time I posted the video, I didn't mention it when I originally shared it with the public. But I wish I did, because it was a clue pointing towards the pandemic. I'm sure you all remember we were told to wear a mask during that time. For years this dream plagued my mind. And now I can see that this was a warning that Trump is going to be the person who will bring in an event that will eventually devastate this nation. And the sign that will lead to this devastation will start with African Americans. I myself am an African American. And I say with a heavy heart that this is the final part of Jacob's trouble. So before I go, I must tell the true children of Israel to prepare for what's coming. For Trump will set up a standard that will cause us to be targeted. Because the synagogue of Satan wants to put a stop to the awakening. The veteran who approached me in my dream was in distress. According to Jeremiah chapter 30 verses 6 to 8 says, "Ask and see, can a man bear children? Then why do I see every strong man with his hands on his stomach like a woman in labor, every face turned deathly pale? How awful that day will be. No other will be like it. It will be a time of trouble for Jacob, but he will be saved out of it. In that day, declares the Lord Almighty, I will break the yoke off their necks, and will tear off their bonds. No longer will foreigners enslave them. And this is that time, so get ready and prepare for what's coming. Until next time, stay safe and shalom."